The materials that I used in my project were 4 sheets of 8x4 plywood that were an inch and a half inch thick. I also used 2x4s for the frame of the dog box. I used screws that were an inch and a half long to put most of my dog box together. I used 2.5 inch screws to put the rest together. I used two 2-inch hinges, one on each end of the dog box, to open the lid, and I attached them with 1/2 inch flathead screws. I also used 2 gallons of white paint. I used 3 machines in the shop. I used a table saw to cut the plywood sheets down to 6 foot long by 3 feet wide. I used a table router to make 1/2 inch dado cuts in the 3 of my 2x4s. This was so that I could put a divider in the dog box and take it out when I wanted to. I used the DW718 dual bevel compound sliding miter saw with laser guide and stand. There are the 1/2 inch screws that I used to put my dog box together, as you can tell. And there are the 2x4s that I will make my dado cut in. There is the board that will slide in and out for the divider. And there are the finished 2x4s with the dado cuts in them. The general process. I started out by getting all my measurements right so that my dog box was perfectly divided into 2 even sections. After this, I cut the 2x4 down to length, and then I started screwing the dog box together. After I had it all put together, I put the lid on and then fastened the hinges down to the lid and back. After that, I started painting my dog box, which seemed like it took forever. Maybe because I put 3 coats of paint on it to ensure that when the dogs were wet, it would the paint would keep the wood from swelling up and wrecking the dog box. The finish that I used or applied to my dog box was an outdoor paint. The paint color was a white base paint. I put 3 coats of paint on my entire dog box. This was to ensure that the dogs, if they came in wet, would not cause the dog box to get wrecked as easily, and to just give it some color, I guess. And because it had to have a finish on it, so I decided to paint it. Mistakes. Some mistakes that I made along the way were maybe a crucial part as to why I had to work extra to get this done. I didn't use all class time that was given to me properly by my teacher, Mr. Nelson. I had to come in on weekends and early before school just so that I could get my dog box painted and done. Another mistake that I made along the way was that I didn't cut my 2 end pieces to the correct width so they didn't perfectly join with the 2 sides. I should have checked before I cut them, but I didn't. And another mistake that I made somewhere along the way was my dog box got a little messed up, so it is not perfectly square. As you can tell, the lid fits but not correctly or how I wanted it to fit. But that's okay, I guess it'll have to work. Because as you can see, the lid kind of gets really close to the edge at the top, but at the back it wasn't very close. And there's where I messed up the joints on the dog box. There's the hinges I used. If I would have joined that correctly, you wouldn't see that little. And there's the back, it fits pretty good. There, as you can tell, I didn't join them perfectly because otherwise there wouldn't be that little valley type thing there. And there again. And you can kind of see there where the lid is really close to the edge, but it's really far away from the side. Some things that I could have done better on my project was taking my time and maybe check to make sure that it was perfectly square. Gone back and checked measurements twice so that everything would have fitted correctly. And that's about it that I can think of right now. The project cost me about $250 to $300, and my parents helped me pay for most of this, if not all of it.